Hey, I'm going to try to do a quick little overview of how I went about installing a transfer switch, interlock transfer switch for a backup generator. So this is the panel in our basement. I've got another video showing how I installed an outlet on the outside. So there is an outlet on the outside of the house. That black cord up here, cable, wire, that goes to the outside of the house. It goes up through top of the block there. It doesn't go through the block, but on top of the block there, and then through the wall to the outside of the house. There's an outlet out there that once, if the power ever goes out or we needed to run a generator, can set a generator out there and plug that into the outlet, which will feed power into this black cable. This is the actual power from the utility. And this will be the backup generator coming in to the box here, and it'll feed the whole panel. So I'll open this up. I busted that hinge in the process. I need to get a new one. But anyways, of course now this doesn't want to open. So here we have this is actually what you get from the company that sells these interlock kits. I found this one on Amazon. I think it was like 50 bucks, and whatever. It's a lot cheaper than getting a separate transfer switch. And some people even get a separate transfer switch plus a whole separate breaker box. Well, to me, this seems a lot easier. So anyways, what happens is, this is our utility power, coming from the power pole, the power company. It's in the on position now because that's what we're running on. And down here, this is now the generator, or the outlet from the outside of the house, that wire that I showed you coming in here. It's basically coming in the box, and it is feeding, it's actually going into this. So the power is flowing through that cable up here and into this 50 amp switch. So when this would be in the on position, right now it's in the off. When this would be in the on position, it would allow power to pass through and supply this whole rail. Now, the reason we need this is because if I turn this on right now, I don't know. I guess a lot of things would probably go boom and flash and spark if I were to hook up the generator and turn this on while the utility power is still on. So this interlock prevents that from happening. I can't turn this on because it's physically blocking me from doing that. So if I wanted to turn this on, I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to reset all the clocks in the house. But so if I turn the service from the utility off, now picture this switch being over here. Now it's not going to hit this metal part. So now I can slide this up. You see it rides on these slides here. Now I can slide this up and I can throw this switch. Now this moves up. So once this is in place, now this can't pop back down. So now this piece is coming up here. And now remember, this switch is over. So now this is blocking, and now I can't throw this switch back. So it'll only allow, one of them to be in the powered position at a time. So basically this is the legal way of backfeeding your power supply. You could obviously do it without this thing, but it's illegal for one. Because if you don't turn them all off, if you don't turn it off and you have your generator going and your power's out and there's somebody working on the power lines, you could fry them. Or if the power comes back on, you could blow up a bunch of stuff in your house. I don't know. Seems like the way to go. Yeah. So I will open this up so you can see how I wired it. That was a really long-winded explanation. I'll try to make the next one quicker. Hey there. I'm going to try to do a brief overview of the entire project of installing an outlet, which is on the outside of the house, feeding this wire, which is what I'm going to plug my generator into. The generator will feed power through this cable, comes back and into the panel here, and then it's running down, all the way down, back up around, and that is gonna feed power into this breaker right here. This is the one that I had to move the other two that were existing to accept this 50 amp, which will now work as the transfer switch to turn power on and off from the generator. So right now it's in the off position. It will not allow power to go through from either direction. Since the utility power is on right now, this has to be off, otherwise it's going to be feeding power out. I'll get into that in a minute, but so let's pretend the power's out. I already said we've got the generator outlet back here on the other side of the wall outside. Comes in, power will be coming in, feeding through that wire, and now coming into this 50 amp basically on-off switch. It's 50 amps, but all it is it's a switch that's going to turn the power on, turn the power off. So the power is feeding into this switch. We'll turn that off, and it'll make sense in a second. So power will feed into this switch and energize the whole panel. So it'll take some getting used to. I'm sure there's some stuff that we won't want to run. I mean, in a power outage, obviously we'll try to stick to the essentials, but we got a big enough generator where we should be able to run our well pump. That was a big deal. So we have water. Our AC should be able to run. Pretty much anything in our house should be able to run as long as we conserve the other circuits. You know, don't be running stupid stuff while the AC is on or anything like that. This plate is to remind you when the cover for the panel is off, like it is now, that, hey, don't turn this on, dummy. It's back feeding your panel. So that's the gist. That's kind of like, I don't know, I guess the flow of electricity. In normal circumstances, comes in here from the power pole outside, comes into this big main 200 amp breaker, feeds the whole panel. This is in the off position because we're getting power from the utility company. When the power goes out, we won't be getting any power from here. So we'll have our own power coming in this side of the panel. And this will be in the on position and we'll feed it ourselves. All right, I'm gonna throw the panel back on, the cover, and show you what it looks like.